right.
What does Nuesa mean?
Nuesa means shoes in the Buli language of the Bulisa people in the Upper East region.
You know, be small address. So the Bulisa people,
yes,
in their Buli language,
yes,
pronounce or they call shoes
Nuesa. So
Nuesa.
virtually footwear.
Footwear.
Yeah, so it's the umbrella term for footwear. The way we say in Pabwa in Chi,
Okay.
Tokuta in Ga.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought you were adding another language.
In Ewe is called Akofa. Yeah, something like that.
so you are getting some consultants in the house.
Yes.
And so you started Nuesa Shoes.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to go with the bullying language?
Okay, so I sought out to look for, initially was a different name I was using when I started.
Okay.
And then a friend of mine drew my attention that we have Italian brands that are in Italian names, typical to the Italian language.
Yeah.
So why do you want to use a brand or a name that will sound maybe European
Exotic,
or foreign,
yeah.
exotic? So look for a name that is very indigenous to Ghana. That's when someone hears, what does it mean? And I mean, it's even some form of tourism for the people of the Upper East region. So I actually asked people. I wanted the northern part of Ghana. So I asked a few people. They gave me some names, and then I settled on Nuesa.
Do you come from the northern part of Ghana?
No.
Where are you from?
I'm from Agona Samai.
That's where, which of your parents is from?
My mother.
And your dad?
From Esubua.
But what was why the interest in taking a northern name?
Because, tree is more prominent. I mean, everybody understands tree in Pabwa. And I think the Pabwa was already being used by someone. Tokuta is also another brand.
Yeah.
The Afokpa by something. Some Afokpa is also used by another brand. So I just decided to leave everyone else and go somewhere no one knows. So I just went for Nuesa.
I mean, that's some good thinking into the choice of naming.
Yeah.
I mean, but did you always want to make shoes?
No, it happened by accident.
By accident?
Yes, by accident.
Tell us about the accident.
I have a chemical engineering background.
From where? KNUST?
From KNUST.
Ebeyo.
So after my national service, let me say, during my national service, I worked offshore for a while.
Okay.
On the FPA.
As I would have expected.
Yeah, FPA so Kwame Nkrumah.
I see.
Yeah, so I worked there.
Engineer Papa.
Petroleum engineer for I think about a year.
Okay.
After national service, we were not retained.
Okay.
So, but while I was doing my national service, I was retailing slippers made with kente, just kente. So I was selling it along the corridors of GMPC in Tema. After a while, I exhausted all my clients. I needed to look for new clients. And my sister then was working with this bank at Spintex. They are no
Capital Bank.
Capital Bank. So I had some customers from Capital Bank as well. So when my service ended, the man who was making it for me then, I think I sensed some sort of dragging off his feet, and I needed to keep up with my orders. So I sought out to look for a new shoemaker to make my products for me. So I left the information around that I was scouting for a shoemaker, and the family friend said, "Oh, I know one at SCC where the DVLA is, the wager DVLA.
Okay.
So let's go there." So one day I tagged along, and then I met my first master. He's called Tuga. And then I said,
Is he called Sami?
Yes, he's Sami.
Sami Tuga.
Yes, someone in Marco, Sami Tuga.
Yeah.
So he said, I mean, I might get busy sometimes, so I might not be able to meet your orders. So why don't you learn it yourself? That was a magic moment for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you learn it? Did you get him to teach you, or you found somebody else?
No. You have to get up every day and go to work. Like, I'm coming to work here. I did it for about a month. And then I got a job. And then I left.
So at this time when you were vending these, you were out of job. You had finished national service, so you had time on your hands.
Yes.
So you decided to keep yourself busy.
Yes, I decided to keep myself busy.
Was it a thing that you were selling while you were on the FPSO?
No. You can't. No, it was just when I was onshore.
Onshore.
Yeah.
And that was on the corridors of GMPC.
Yes, in the corridors of GMPC.
Were you working there?
Yes, I was working there.
Okay, so you were on the FPSO on the account of GMPC.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's something we call secondment.
Yes.
So when you're working with another company, but you're sent to,
Yes.
So I was on secondment. So when you go offshore, it's like you are the government rep there at a point in time for 28 days.
Okay.
So when I come back, while I'm doing, I'll be doing my small
hot woman. Engineer turned shoemaker.
Yes.
So you started with Sam Tuga.
Yes, I started with Sammy Tuga. I worked with Sammy Tuga for about 3 years. And then I ended and even before that, when I went to work, I worked for about 9 months. And I realized my soul wasn't there anymore. I came back.
Wait, what kind of job did you get?
I was working as an intern with a company in Westlands.
Okay, and what were they into? They
did HR consultancy, recruitment, and stuff along those
Chemical engineer.
Yes.
You say you're working with an agency.
Yes, I was working with.
No surprise, your heart wasn't there.
My heart wasn't.
So after working there for how many? 9 months.
9 months. Yeah, I left, and I came back to my boss, and then
to Sam Tuga.
To Sammy Tuga again, and then we worked for a while. Even while I worked, I got another job.
Okay.
With this company called SBM, we were supposed to work with Hess for the they have some pecan.
Okay.
They have some oil fields called pecan.
Yes.
It hasn't
been Hess Petroleum.
Hess Petroleum. It hasn't been fully developed yet. So they were bidding for the contract here. So they took about 8 of us and trained us for 6 months in anticipation of winning the contract. They didn't win, rather Jensen won that contract. So we didn't get the job. So I came back, continued the shoemaking.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you continued, and you said you were with Sam Tuga for what? 3 years.
So we worked together for like 3 years. So after 2017, when my last job ended, and I came back, then I was like, I want to move on and then be on my own. So I ended my apprenticeship with him. And then worked on my own. So as I worked for a while, I was like, I want to better my skills. So I paused work for a while and sought another apprenticeship.
Wow.
Yes.
This time round with?
Someone in a different place. And that didn't materialize again. The person was a bit reluctant to teach me.
Yeah.
So that didn't last long, for about 6 months. And I ended it and I started full operations.
So you came back to operations, which is making of the shoes
taking orchid. So within the 6 months, I wasn't taking orders. I was just learning. So that's the thing in apprenticeship. It's like going to school. You do a first degree and you're like, probably I'm working. I want to further my skills.
Go for graduate studies.
Go for graduate studies and you go and learn. Then you work for a while. No, I want to do a PhD, and that has been my journey for me. So there are times that I pause, even up till now. There are times I pause work and be like, I want to learn something else, and then I put maybe a month or two, and I have a mentor. If I sit on this platform, I don't mention his name, I'm dead. Master Obey, thank you so much.
What did Master Obey do for you?
What Master Obey does, he still does for me, is he fine-tunes my skills. He's changed my way of working since I met him. He corrects my mistakes. He just changed. He's one of the finest shoemakers in the country. And he teaches me every day. He finds, since I met him, my work has just changed. And I'm grateful for that opportunity, because I paid money to other people to teach me and they didn't. But he gave me the platform and taught me for free. So I'm very grateful to him. Yes.
Wow. And so from Sam Tuga, going back and forth to Master Obey, and it has been continuous. Since then, you have been handling your own business.
Yes.
And what kinds of footwear do you make?
Okay, so I make shoes for ladies. I'll want to call it lace shoes, a bit of loafers and brogues. Yes, so for let's say the lady who wants to give herself a bit of a masculine look. So I don't do heels.
So the smart look.
Yeah, the smart look, the smart casual look. I do ahinema, I do slippers, sandals, boots, loafers for men, Chelsea boots, chuka boots, monk straps, formal and informal shoes. Yeah, anything within that. I don't do security boots for now. Yeah.
So aside from, say, sneakers, hardcore sneakers, security boots, and heels, as you mentioned, pretty much you are in the entire range of
that's
footwear.
So my brand focuses on making custom products. So if you are to walk into my shop right now, the products you see belong to other people. They've been paid for and they're ready to be dispatched. But on a normal day, you have to place an order and then the product is made for you. But I'm gradually trying to move from there because you have people like Father's Day was coming up. People want products for their fathers and the male figures in their life, and they need to order. Ghanaians are not very open to the idea of made to order. They
off the shelf.
They prefer off the shelf. But then I give customization and the fact that you have an input when the product is being made for you. So you can tell me, I want this in lemon green or yellow, and I want the thread to be this color, and then I'll do exactly what you have requested for you. So that makes me different from other brands. Some brands are focused on making just formal shoes. Others are focused on making just ahinema, slippers and sandals. Mine is just a blend of everything.
And this is really interesting, and this is where I mean I'll be getting to Nanaya soon for her to come to you on a number of things that you've already mentioned. But if it's leather you wanted to work with, you could have made bags, you could have made pouches, you could have made all kinds of things. I mean, during your downtime, yes, you could have done some of these things, because that is what typically we find a lot of ladies doing. You could have actually crocheted different kinds of things, But why shoes, footwear, which is typically, and the way we say it, a shoemaker. Once you hear shoemaker, you are thinking of a man. What made you decide as a woman to get into such a realm?
Okay, so I think naturally I'm not very attracted to things that are deemed as very feminine or stereotypical roles for women. Naturally, that's how I am. Because even in the job I was doing in GMPC, it was still a male-dominated job.
But chemical engineering.
You could sometimes be the only woman offshore among probably a crew of maybe 150 men. You're the only woman on board. So that was not exactly a new thing to me. However, I know that I have a huge love for shoes, and anybody who steps into the room, the first thing you look at is the person's feet, because I mean, if I enter the room, my feet will enter first. So, and I think we haven't thought of it that way, that you don't look at somebody's clothes first, you look at the feet before you look at the rest of the body, whatever the person is wearing. If somebody opens the door right now, the feet will come in first. Yes. So I think I have a huge love for shoes, but not mainly men's shoes. So I think I just navigated along those lines because of the person I got the opportunity to work with first, who was doing male stuff. So I think that is what, but I think with time, I still enjoy making about 70% of my customers are men. Yeah.
And I'm wondering what brought you to this place. I mean, the way you say, you typically won't be the person going along things which are stereotypically
female,
thought of as female.
Yes.
How was your growing up like, your upbringing? Where did you grow up at? How was your relation with your family and all of that, bringing you to this place?
So I come from a family of 6, my mom, then my sister, and then 2 other brothers. My father was very strict, but he passed away very early. And I'm sure if he was alive, my life would have turned out way different. Probably I'll be a medical doctor. My daddy wanted me to be a medical. He wanted to live his dream of being a medical doctor.
Through you. He wanted to live vicariously through you.
Yes.
I see.
But he passed away earlier. So after I left Holy Child, I did general science.
Oh, you went to Holy Child?
Yes, I'm a Hobson.
Hobson. Okay.
Yes. After I left Holy Child.
What am I factor non-verbal?
Weber.
Factor non-Weber.
Yes.
Okay.
Factor,
not words. That's right. I see.
I realized that I have a huge fear of cadavers, so that one was off.
So pathology wasn't going to work.
No, it won't work. I don't mind blood, but cadavers, no. So that was off. But I loved chemistry, so I was like, okay, what could I do? I didn't want to do purely chemistry in KNUST. So chemical engineering was my best fit because you do a lot of chemistry in there too. Organic, inorganic chemistry, physical chemistry, a lot of that. So I just moved in that direction, and
that's how come you have become. Did you have to step up at any point in time, especially saying that you had your father pass away?
Yeah.
To step up for your siblings?
I'm the last born.
You're actually number one. So last one. Okay.
Yes, I've always had my siblings stepping in for me.
Oh.
I've not lacked that at all. My family's support is top notch.
Wow.
They have always been there. They are still there for me. So I haven't had that where I have to struggle and all that. But it took a while for my family to tag along with the shoemaking thing. There were
there was resistance.
A lot of resistance, a lot of dissuasion, and it was difficult for them to tag along. Why do you want to do this? I remember one time I had an auntie of mine come from outside the country, and I had been reported by my mom to my auntie that this is what I wanted to do. So she summoned me in her house. And the first thing she was is, Agyekum wa, yes, so yam pabuana. Krobia the Akosua no bisa shoemaker, for lack of better way, disabled people na shoemakers. I've never forgotten that statement she made. And I just laugh. And I think that statement pushed me to do more, to do better. And recently, she's in a country, and she passed by the shop about a week or so ago. And funny enough, she bought me my latest machine.
Wow.
Yes, she's grown into it. She was very impressed when she came to the shop. So the family support is there for me. Wow. And then my friends, they have been phenomenal in supporting my journey.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So the family support obviously will have made a big difference to your ability to forge ahead in this particular field, even though, as you say, or most people say, it's not an area where you find many women working. There are a few others, but they do perhaps a very particular kind of thing, like Benji was talking about, maybe do more the accessories, the bags and this sort of thing. I wondered what you thought about the thing of you having to find your own path with the training, because you were fortunate to find Sammy Tuga and then your master, Mr. Obing, that you described there, who continues to support you and be a mentor. Did you investigate more conventional training, like under the COTVET system, the TVET system? Are there colleges that you can go to where you can study shoemaking, or is it something that universally people learn by doing apprenticeships?
Universally, you would have to learn by doing apprenticeship, but internationally, I do not know of any single shoemaking school. Rather, you still have to go to an apprenticeship. So you'd have renowned shoemakers who some have settled in. Now we want to do training only, who offer courses and sometimes in-house training for. Even that is not for really new shoemakers, but those who have learned to a point. Right. So they come in and then they learn a few tricks. But you'd have to go to the apprenticeship. In Ghana, we don't have any shoemaking school.
So even, say, the fashion schools that we have about, nobody has moved to the stage where they are training people in leather work and how to make shoes?
No, not at the moment. It's still apprenticeship.
Right, because at least, in some other countries, which I'm sure you'll have explored or heard of, there are things like cordwainers colleges that you can go to, or cordwainers colleges built into fashion schools with well kind of molded and structured courses. Another thing I'm really curious about, because it's a big ask when you're setting up as a shoemaker. It's not just like getting a sewing machine and being a seamstress, and that itself involves a lot of acquisition of equipment. You described your aunt there bringing you a new machine. Even the cutting materials that you need for getting through leather and so on. So what sort of capital did you need to set up your own first workshop, and how did you go about getting that capital?
I tell people when they come to my shop or when they ask me how I've got everything together, I was like, I didn't start in a day. When I left my master's Tuga's shop, I packed a few pieces of leather and a few lasts. So the last is the mold that every footwear takes, the shape.
The wooden mold that around which you shape.
Yes, it's usually made of wax.
Right.
but locally, sometimes we're able to mold wood into that shape.
Right.
So I came home, and let me take the opportunity to mention my brother-in-law's name, my sister's husband. He offered me his hall. His name is Richard Bwedi. He works with Absa Ghana. He offered
Mr.
me...
Bwedi.
Yes, Mr. Bwedi. He offered me his hall, and that's where I was keeping my materials. I stored the materials, kept accumulating, till I decided to get my own space. So I moved in. By then I had bought a few sewing machines, and I had bought some machines. So I moved everything there, and I started refurbishing the place gradually.
This is where you are now.
This is where I
Wager.
am. Yes, where I am now in Wager. So when you come into my shop, everything you need to function as a shoemaker is in there. You will find everything there.
All the needles,
all the
cutting,
all the threads, all the leathers, everything to make a complete shoe. When you work in, you don't need to step out. Everything is there.
Now, you've never lived or worked abroad, have you?
I've worked abroad for 4 weeks. Courtesy SBM. We went to Monaco.
Okay.
Yes, to work for 4 weeks and came back to Ghana.
But I was wondering, how difficult is it for you to find the tools and the materials that you need here in Ghana?
It's difficult. It's difficult for us because virtually what we work with are excesses of products or raw materials from maybe Italy or across the world. I use Italian materials because my vendors, they source straight from Italy, so I don't know about other places. So when for some of my products that you displayed, my materials are always limited. So now that you understand the made to order part.
Yeah.
So if I'm working with material A, I'm working with material A for as long as the stock lasts.
Right.
Once it runs out, I can't repeat the same thing. We have to move to a different leather.
Right.
So we do not really have the availability of materials on the markets all the time. So you have to deal with limited products or raw materials at a time.
So that makes your lines naturally limited edition.
Yes,
and
it makes
bespoke.
it naturally. Yes, and bespoke. Yeah.
You're dealing with a batch of material, and you'll put out like a design, say your hinima coming in this particular
color.
Leather. And I see you've advertised on your Facebook site, for example, you do a particular kind of a hinima with a very it's hard to describe. I don't have the language.
I have some here.
Oh, well, I'm sure you get to see them. But you know, you've got like a little surround for the big toe and like a large thong going up there, and you display them in black and red, and you say, well, there are other colors available that maybe you could make it in tan. It's a special order for the people. But you know, here in Ghana, this is why I was interested to hear a bit more about your choice of Buli and Nuesa, the name, because particularly in northern Ghana, there are very well developed traditions of leatherworking, shoemaking, in common with the Sahelian countries. It's not necessarily the style of shoe that you do, but had you explored any kinds of working with leathers produced in Africa and over and above your Italian leathers that you work with?
Okay, so the leathers that I mostly use in the northern region are pure cow hides, pure animal hides. You are restricted with how much or what you can use pure untreated cowhide for. So they use it for some of their boots. They have their own traditional boots that they use. They dye it. Very fantastic. And then they use it for some slippers of theirs. But it's difficult to use those cowhides for shoes. You need their types or thickness of leather, different types. So the thickness of leather I would use for a belt is not what I'll use for a shoe. You need some flexibility. Good. The same I'll use for a shoe is not what exactly I'll use for an ahinema. So you need some sort of, it's treated, there are different types of leather. Anyway, I don't use PU leather. That's synthetic. Completely, I don't use it at all. I use just pure leather. So you need some sort of treatment, and the colors that comes in, we don't have that. We don't have any leather tannery here. Or,
at all?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not one.
That is extraordinary.
Yeah, we don't have.
And there's nowhere else, say, within West Africa that you've been able, you think you could source leathers from, finer leathers, more flexible?
No, everything comes from either Europe, India, Spain, Britain.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Where the topmost,
where the topmost international shoemakers are
known from. Yeah. And but you have really Ghanaianized your brand in the style of the shoes that you make.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the designs and where you get your inspiration from? You've talked about making a hinima, but they're not any old common garden variety hinima, are they? Yeah. How do you try to adapt the basic idea of a hinima?
Okay, so if you were to come to me with an order, and it's not something I've done before, I'll talk about if it's something I've done. It's not something I've done before. I like to think through it.
Right.
So it will probably take me a few days to conceptualize the design. What's your personality like? Are you looking for something that people are like, whoa, that's nice? Or you want something that's subtle? And then we have to look at what you're wearing with. Maybe you want to wear with a kente. So what are the colors? So if these are the colors, how can I combine it together to make it phenomenal for you? So I conceptualize it for a while. If I'm not able to figure anything out, I start working anytime. And then as I'm working, the ideas come in. That's one part. The other part is the customers. They sometimes come with their own specifications. I'm like, this is what I want. I'm like, we can't exactly get this. Okay, what do you think? So we develop the idea as we move along. And then you realize you've created a completely new product for the person. So you run along with it. And then for my ahinema, the black and red you showed was created from scratch. I wanted something that was different from the traditional ahinema, doesn't catch in your toes, and something that is very lightweight and comfortable, something you don't need to use the nails to hammer, because
stick in your foot.
Yes, it sticks in your foot, and it's not ideal for those who find themselves across the globe, because they do not. You can't apply the dye that you need to keep it very shiny.
Yeah.
So why don't we go for something that you dust off and go? And that was the idea behind making these ones.
Wow. So what are those made of?
This is black and gold. It's leather still.
And the sole is made of?
Wow.
The sole is recycled. I think they use for conveyor belts in the mining industry where they used to carry the rocks. So
the tie.
So it's just recycled. So for those who are environmentally conscious, I do some recycled stuff here.
This is some sustainable products.
Yes, this is sustainable development.
I mean, yes.
With a fine black leather on the top.
Yeah, and the gold.
And the gold is, what are those, brass?
Yes, this is jinyami. It's a traditional Edinburgh symbol.
Yeah. But they're just brass ornaments sewed onto the leather.
Sewed onto it.
And what's the pom-pom made of?
Oh, this is actually a very typical ahinema. So the ahinema style has a typical way. So we just modernized it. So every ahinema has to come with this head, the pom-pom, the pom-pom, and then you have this. So every typical ahinema has this mold, but it is what makes it what this side is made of. Maybe it's made of some weave or something that makes it different.
Sure.
Yeah. Sure. So this is the world's most comfortable ahinema.
Is it actually a flexible sole?
Yes, this is flexible.
Because it's rubber, so it bends. So
yeah,
that must mean it's so comfortable, it molds with your foot, it follows the shape of your foot.
And very, very lightweight.
And Anaya, you know, one of the pains of wearing a hinima, I tend to wear them every now and then, is the hardness of the sole.
The rigidity of the sole.
What I see she's done is she has put a leather, I mean, in like leather in the sole here, and so it softens your sole, so you don't have to deal with the ravages of
the absence of nails. I mean, those of us who had to wear a hinima in school, very badly made a hinima sometimes will have tales of foot torture to report back home.
You know, and this is beautiful. You know, like the finishing and the flexibility of even the leather, you know, on the sides here.
It doesn't cut you.
So it doesn't cut you. It's convenient.
Very convenient.
So this looks like super designer priced items, and this is a bespoke business that you run after all. So, you know, special orders only, private audience, you can go with your own concept. It sounds very high
bougie.
Level.
It's very bougie.
Extremely bougie and beyond my pay grade. So are you charging super bougie prices then?
No,
I mean, thousands of So let me guess.
So for this
a
one,
pair of ahinama.
a pair of ahinama.
How much
like
would
this.
you buy this?
I'm afraid you're asking the wrong person.
Nanaya doesn't buy these.
Some of
things.
us are just seriously anti-clothes, but let's say I would assume that something like that is well in excess of 500 cedis for the pair.
No.
Really?
No.
So how much will you get this for?
This is going for 350 cedis.
350 Ghana cedis.
Oh,
Only.
wow.
Yes.
Kwegu.
I think we should have a special.
We should probably get into no. This is private business.
Hey.
Investment.
And let the spirit convey the idea.
Other people will get it.
See that thing. But I see where you are going. For me, what I'd like to learn is that when we go to the shops to buy shoes, clothing made to wear, they tend to fit. But for doing bespoke work, for example, when you observe a typical Ghanaian foot, some people have high vamps, and some have very shallow vamps.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
How are you able to be able to produce stuff that you can say you give to a stockist that's able to stock it and you don't get a lot of returns?
Currently, I do not have anyone who is typically stocking my products. But when the customer comes and say, I want this product, so I ask you, how's your foot like? I'm very cautious about it, especially for those who wear plus size. So those who wear like the 46 and upwards, because they have unique feet. I mean, the mold, probably they have a huge vamp, or their feet, their toe area is wide. So I ask you exactly, how is your foot like? Can you send me a picture of your foot? You say you wear 46. Can I see your foot? Oh no, I don't think you wear 46. I think you have wide feet, so we can probably pad maybe like a 44, and it'll be a perfect fit. For those who are not so sure, they can book an appointment.
And then you do the measurement.
And they come to the shop and we do a measurement.
You know what? You're actually talking about me, because you see, I have not long feet, but when they step, they widen. So I have wide feet, but they are short.
Yeah.
And so I say I'm a 42, but if I have a 41 wide, it is perfect than a 42, because then I'll have a lot of space at the frontage of my at the toe area.
So let me take this opportunity and do a short education here. For Ghana, we use European sizes.
Yes.
A very short one. I think it's something I'm always deliberating with my customers. We use European sizes. We have 3 main sizing, shoe sizing system. We have that for China. We have that for Europe. Okay, maybe 4. We have that for US, and we have that for UK.
Yes.
Good. The Chinese, the Europeans, the Chinese, the UK, and US, they use single digits. So we have UK 8, we have US 8, and then the Chinese version. The US and Australia, they use the same sizing. Now, a UK 8 is not the same as a US 8.
Absolutely not.
Exactly.
It's not the same size.
The Americans, they are bigger.
They are bigger.
They come in bigger proportions.
Yes, they come in bigger proportions. However, the Europeans use 38, 39, up to 46, 50. They use a double-digit system.
Oh, you are saying the Europeans start from 38?
No, like they use a double-digit.
No. I was trying to shade somebody who I know is 37. Yes.
Shade accepted.
So they do the double-digit system, and for adults, typically for ladies, it starts from 36 to 42. That's the standard one. For men, it starts from typically size. It starts from 41 to 45. Below 40 and below is not a normal size. And 46
you find it in the children's section.
Is a plus size to those. So usually come with them.
Those ones are aliens.
Good. So you have people in Ghana who say, I wear a UK size 40. That size does not exist anywhere. It's either I wear a UK 7,
which is a US 8.
Yes. Or I wear European size 40. So please, this education is so important.
And I think this sizing applies to clothing as well.
Yeah, that applies.
You know, that in Europe, they also use the double-digit system for clothing.
Good.
No, but you see, I'm looking at this is the half of it. And this shoe, for instance, is I love brown, right? I love brown. Today is one of the rare moments I'm wearing black, you know. But I love brown. And I'm looking at this contrasted with white.
Yeah.
And it's just perfect.
Yeah, it is.
Very modern.
It's the in thing, you know.
It's very vogue. It's very much in vogue right now.
Is it?
The woven leather.
I wouldn't have
and this one, for instance, how much would it go for?
This goes for 480 cedis.
480,
so this particular style was a lady customer brought the idea. She brought the design, and then I made it. And then I have a customer I've never met before in Belgium. So he asked his sister to contact me, and that he wanted this shoe. I was like, okay, when are we doing it? He said, don't worry, I'll come to Ghana, I'll come to the shop. I was at work, and he pops in and says, I want this in green. I'm like, in green? He says, yes. So we raised all the green letters, and I asked him
pick your green.
Pick your green. And he chooses a particular green. And that color and that shoe, I don't think you have it.
Do you have the picture?
I do have the picture.
Can you share it now?
I do have
we
the picture.
We want to share it with our audiences.
I do have the picture. I think that shoe landed me. I think it was the road that led me here.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that shoe was
very eye-catching.
It was a very eye-catching
like
shoe.
a lime green, or
it was an emerald green.
Oh my gosh!
And I think it's interesting because Ghanaians are not really a fan of color. They don't like color.
Some Ghanaians.
But
some Ghanaians.
Wow.
Some Ghanaians.
A lot of Ghanaians. And actually for men.
I'll wear this.
Wow. That is such
otherwise known as kidney green.
The color of Asasi Kidney Care's campaign, but a very vivid, deep green for people who aren't watching us on Facebook.
And I made just one of these. Just one of these.
I mean, if the camera can zoom in and capture this particular pair of shoes,
that would be
I mean, this is beautiful. This is just phenomenal.
I think Benji is in love with your phone.
Let me see. Yes. I think they can capture it now.
Yes. People can see it now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is just beautiful. This is just beautiful. And this comes in the smart casual range of men's shoes.
Yeah.
All right. And it is just beautiful. And you know, I'm going to come for you to talk about how people can reach you and all.
Okay, sure.
But you know, in the course of the conversation, a few lessons that I pick. I mean, a number of them, I'll just keep them to 7. And from your story, it becomes apparent that resistance will turn into support if you persist and succeed.
Yes.
And that's something that comes out very strongly.
Yes.
Also, one thing I pick out is opportunities come from difficulties and blessings are hidden in accidents. Your down times, the periods where you did not have a job, you were out of a job.
Yeah.
That was the time where it was birthed.
Yeah.
And you eventually created opportunity out of it.
Yeah.
And another thing I learned, downtime is not off time, but build time.
Yeah.
And you talk about the times where you have to stop working.
Yeah.
And so you call those times downtime.
My downtime.
But those times you committed yourself to apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And so it was a time for building yourself.
Yes.
And another thing which became also apprentice, skills are not necessarily acquired in the classroom, but in apprenticeship.
Yeah. You have to get dirty. You have to get on the ground and work. So the normal day if you came to me, I'll probably be in a pair of maybe Charlotte and then glues.
Some glued.
Yeah,
glue reading
clothes and
t-shirts.
T-shirts. I mean, that's me on a normal day. And it's only when I realize that someone wants to come in and I'm like, okay, let me wear a very nice fancy T-shirt today because I'm going to have a customer come in. But on a normal day, I'm not exactly the icon for
fancy
finesse.
person. Yeah.
No, I'm not.
How did you get over that barrier? Because in as much as you look very hands-on, we're socialized in a way that every woman admires a good look.
Yeah.
And so at the back of your mind, this is, for the lack of a better expression, aberration to what you would normally have aspired to. How did you get over that hurdle to say, in spite of not looking the way others would, this is what I want to pursue?
Okay, so let me say something. I've had my classmates from university. acquiring doctorates. Within the period, I have been learning. And so, if I have to get my hands dirty to get there, I have to show something for it. I mean, if someone has been able to get a PhD and you've been doing shoemaking for like almost 8 years, you better get something to show for it. So I don't mind getting my hands dirty. I mean, it's at work. You know I'm at work. A customer once said, your nails are dirty. I'm like, I don't work in a bank.
That's true.
I use dye, I use glue. My clothes are dusty. That's my working environment. So I respect my hustle.
And you create things of beauty out of it.
Out of that. And the way Rainy came to look at you, say, sister, you know, and I mean, the three other things I learned is, especially from the selection of the name, the obscure is a point of curiosity to acquire interest.
Yes.
So you chose Nuesa. And everybody was, oh, what's Nuesa? And you say shoes. Oh, so I'm in a clothing line. Then that becomes the marketing point. And you've eulogized the number of people along the way. And what becomes apparent is everyone needs someone else. No one can be anything.
We need people.
Everybody needs someone. And of course, you were driven by customer orientation, getting the best, your bespoke services. Customer orientation drives innovation.
Yes.
It is in you being challenged by your customers that you find something better ways of doing some of these things. And I think I would want to cap it with, it is possible.
Yes, it is possible. And I think I really derive some sort of satisfaction when someone buys something and it's going to be delivered as a gift. I had a lady reach out to me and like, I want you to do something for my husband on Father's Day. However, this is the caveat. He doesn't like made in Ghana stuff. I don't know. I think this thing really...
he's been cured.
No, this thing always... I don't know. It upsets me in a way when people say, I don't like made in Ghana. I'm like, what is wrong with made in Ghana stuff?
You know?
And there's like, they say the finishing is not good and the quality and all that. Ghanaians do some of the finest stuff.
Yes.
So then I knew that the challenge was on. I had to put up my A game. So I sought to work and I delivered it. And she sent it and my husband has been blown away.
Akosua Sakyi-Agyekum.
Thank you so much. You mentioned my whole name.
And she's been our guest this morning on, you see, my startup. But this is a young entrepreneur who's done great work. And you know, this conversation is one that I believe if you missed, you should watch the full playback on Facebook. And if you watched it, you should share it as well with others for them to see it. I think there are better pictures than even what we have shared on our Facebook page. So you can reach out. If people want to reach you, how can they get in touch?
Okay, before I get to my contacts.
Yes.
I'm currently at a place where I'm looking to expand.
Great.
So I'm looking to access more capital and then employ more people so that my dream, I didn't tell you about my dream.
Please tell us.
My dream is to be the finest shoemaking brand in Africa. 5 years.
In 5 years?
Yes, Africa. Someone was like, why don't you want to target the world? The world is coming to Africa. Why do you want to go there? Why you can make your own market here?
Bars.
I want Africa. I want to be the finest shoemaking brand. 5 years in Africa.
Wow.
Case closed.
Yes, case closed.
Matter closed.
So I'm looking to expand, do more ready to wear so you can find our products in African shops, even across Europe or wherever. So I'm looking for international markets as well.
What number should they call?
My number is 0247 279 574. 0247 279 574. You can find me
on Instagram,
on Facebook, where I'm most active. Nuesa, Nuesa Shoes. There's a WhatsApp link. It will bring you directly to my WhatsApp.
Perfect.